welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're diving into a genuinely fascinating concept, and that is the art of quiet wealth. Have you ever wondered how some people manage to build, substantial, lasting wealth without making a ton of noise, no showing off, and honestly, sometimes without even having a massive salary? Well, we're going to explore 9 really powerful Japanese philosophies derived from our source material that are specifically designed to build sustainable wealth. Now, a quick heads up. This isn't about getting rich quick. It's really about shifting your mindset, right? Moving away from chasing those intense bursts of income and instead cultivating mindful, everyday habits. So, to set the stage here, we have to ask ourselves a pretty common but kind of uncomfortable question. Why do high earners still go broke? Seriously, why do we so often feel like we're just constantly running on a financial treadmill, even when we're earning a decent middle-class income? It's a total paradox. At the start of the month, our wallets are full, confidence is high, but by the end of the month, we're left staring at our bank accounts going, wait, where did it all go? Well, it comes down to a core difference between the illusion of wealth and the reality of wealth. See, the average mindset basically believes wealth is strictly about a high income. And what does that lead to? Usually high stress and this constant, exhausting hustle. But on the flip side, the reality of wealth is built on something way less glamorous. We're talking mindful habits, daily discipline, and quiet consistency. Truly smart individuals know that quiet wealth isn't just a bigger paycheck. It's actually built through really consistent systems. All right, let's start our journey in phase 1, awareness. And we're kicking this off with a brilliant concept called Kakeibo. Now, Kakeibo is the mindful money journal. It's literally the simple, but honestly kind of brutal habit of manually writing down every single expense. And yes, I mean even that $1 coffee or that totally random late-night online purchase. Because think about it, money rarely leaves your life with a loud bang, right? It vanishes silently. And what makes Kakeibo so incredibly powerful is how it forces you to categorize your spending into 4 very distinct buckets: necessary, useful, emotional, or wasteful. When you actually force yourself to physically write down that, say, you spent $200 on random impulse buys and emotional cravings this month, man, the excuses just disappear. You quickly realize your main problem isn't actually a shortage of money. It's a total lack of awareness. And doing this completely shifts your mindset. The average mindset totally panics over big, rare purchases, like buying a car or paying for a major home repair. But the smart mindset, it focuses entirely on plugging the small, daily leaks. It's those tiny, silent, everyday expenses that quietly drain your bank account over 10 years. Kakeibo basically holds up a mirror to those sneaky habits. Which brings us right to our second habit, Mottainai. Now, Mottainai is this beautiful philosophy of deeply respecting your resources so they just don't go to waste. It's the art of stopping the leaky bucket. And hey, this doesn't just apply to your money. It applies to leaving food on your plate, buying clothes you literally never wear, or paying for those 3 streaming subscriptions you haven't even opened since last year. It's about waking up and realizing that wasting resources is, in a way, a form of self-disrespect. It really all boils down to this. The most common shortage is not money, but awareness. You can pour all the money you want into a bucket, but if that bucket has a huge hole in it, you're always going to be broke. Earning more water just won't fix a leaky bucket. So before you even try to earn more money, you absolutely must fix the leaks. Respect the resources you already have. But of course, that begs the question, if the leaks are fixed, how do we actually grow? Just stopping the waste isn't enough to build wealth, right? If you only ever save, your growth is totally capped. So once we've stopped the financial bleeding and we've really mastered our awareness, we transition into phase 2, action and growth. To grow steadily, the Japanese use a pretty widely known principle called Kaizen. Kaizen simply means continuous small improvements. Our sources point out that, average people want these massive overnight results. They want millions right now. So saving $100 feels boring. But Kaizen is about committing to tiny daily steps forward instead of just sitting around waiting for a dramatic windfall or a sudden surge of perfect motivation. Mathematically speaking, the absolute magic is in the 1%. Just improving by 1% every single day. Saving $50, reading 5 pages of a financial book, doing 10 push-ups, or just reducing one bad habit. Now, these actions, they seem completely invisible at first. The first 30 days are going to feel slow and honestly pretty boring. But over a year, that 1% compounds into this unstoppable financial and personal engine. It's huge. But here's the catch. Your effort needs a meaningful direction, and that is exactly where Ikigai comes in. Ikigai is all about purpose-driven work. It's finding that amazing sweet spot, the perfect intersection of what you love, what you're really good at, and what the world actually needs and, crucially, will pay for. Because if you just work for a paycheck, you might have discipline for a while, but eventually you'll burn out. Ikigai reminds us to align our daily grind with purposeful work so we don't spend our entire lives efficiently climbing the absolute wrong ladder. Now, a really massive trap people fall into once they finally find that purpose is waiting for perfection. Wabi-sabi is the philosophy that just shatters this trap. Wabi-sabi is all about embracing imperfection. It teaches us to start our journey way before we're completely ready or perfectly equipped. Don't wait for the perfect camera to start creating or the perfect market conditions to start investing. Just start. Start messy. And this brings us to a somewhat harsh but necessary truth from our source material. Losers live on intensity, winners live on consistency. Remember, perfection is so often just fear in disguise. The market consistently rewards the people who take imperfect action today way over the people who wait perfectly for tomorrow. I mean, working 5 intense hours on a Monday? That's easy. But putting in 30 minutes a day for 300 days straight, that is where the real wealth is actually built. So okay, you've started imperfectly, and you're building some real momentum. But eventually, life gets hard. So how do we survive life's inevitable pressures without just throwing in the towel and quitting? Well, this takes us right into phase 3, endurance. Because let me tell you, the road to quiet wealth will absolutely inevitably test your resilience and your stress limits. The answer to surviving those tests lies in the really beautiful concept of Hara Hachi Bu. Traditionally, this is actually a dietary rule. You eat only until you are 80% full. But if you apply this to your wallet, it is the ultimate financial hack. It means spending, consuming, and committing only up to 80% of your total capacity. Why? To create some much-needed breathing room in your life. When you break this down, living on 80% of your income automatically creates a 20% margin. Think about it, if you spend 100% of what you make, you are trapped, no matter how big your salary is. And that 20% margin, that is exactly where your financial peace, your emergency funds, and your clear thinking actually reside. Overloaded people make bad, stressful decisions. People with margin have the clarity to actually grow. But look, even with a solid margin, bad days are gonna come. Markets will drop, businesses are going to face slow seasons, and promotions will get delayed. And here is where we apply Gaman. Gaman is endurance and self-discipline. It's the ability to bear temporary pain or financial pressure with quiet dignity. No drama, no complaining. It's about just staying steady during those long, boring seasons when absolutely no one is clapping for you. Yet, sometimes, despite our absolute best endurance, we face a crushing failure. A business goes under, a major investment completely tanks, or trust is broken. So what happens when the plan just completely breaks? This brings us to our 4th and final phase, healing and acceptance. When you experience a truly devastating financial loss, Kintsugi offers a really profound way forward. So Kintsugi is the traditional art of repairing broken pottery with actual gold. In our lives, it teaches us not to hide our failures in shame, but to actually highlight the cracks. It means treating those really expensive mistakes and painful financial losses as a stronger, much wiser foundation. Your scars aren't a weakness, guys. They are literal evidence that you survived. While the average person tends to get bitter, avoids trying again, or just hides in shame after a painful loss, the smart individual does something entirely different. They look at financial failure purely as data. That's it. They update their system, they learn from the ego-driven mistake, and they come back so much stronger specifically because they survived that intense stress test. And finally, we reach Shoganai. Shoganai is the ultimate realization and acceptance of what simply cannot be changed. You cannot control the economy, you can't control inflation, the weather, or your own past mistakes. Fighting these uncontrollable realities, it only drains your mental energy. Shoganai is all about letting go of the uncontrollable so you can focus your energy entirely on the present moment. Instead of wasting precious emotional energy fighting reality or complaining about how unfair things are, you pour 100% of your focus into your true domain of power. We're talking about your daily habits, your skill development, your savings rate, your daily effort, and of course, your response to failure. As the saying goes, a weak mindset argues with reality. A strong mindset builds a strategy with reality. When an economic storm comes rolling in, don't just stand on the shore and yell at the storm. Just accept it, start rowing your boat, upgrade your skills, and adjust your financial strategy to weather it. Well, we've covered some really incredible ground today in this explainer. From tracking your smallest everyday expenses with Kakeibo, to finding your true purpose with Ikigai, and even healing from major setbacks with Kintsugi. So now that you've explored this deep dive into the architecture of quiet wealth, the only question left to ask yourself is this: which small, imperfect action are you going to take today? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next explainer.